Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Alexandra, and welcome to a special episode of your Royal Daily News. As the year 2023 comes to a close, I thought it would be a good idea to take a look back at the year's most talked about royal news and events. From National Day celebrations in the Principality of Monaco and the Kingdom of Norway, gala banquets in the Kingdom of Denmark, royal weddings in Jordan and Germany, as well as a Grand Ducal wedding in France, the numerous official and state visits, baptisms, milestone birthdays, and of course, the historic coronation of His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom, 2023 had it all. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, tea, lemonade, or even wine. Hey, whatever floats your boat, it's the weekend. Sit back and relax and enjoy the episode. Let's get started. Coming in at number 10, the return of the King's son. In August, Mr. H.R.H. Vivacharewongse, the second son of His Majesty King Rama X of Thailand, and his second ex-wife, Sujarini, made an unexpected return to Thailand after being banished from the kingdom for 27 years. Here is my original report. On Sunday, August 6th, Mr. H.R.H. Vivacharewongse, the estranged son of His Majesty King Rama X of Thailand, and his ex-wife, Sujarini, made an unexpected return to Thailand after being in exile for 27 years. In 1979, Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn met popular Thai actress Sujarini, also known as Benz. Eventually, the couple had 5 children, 4 boys and 1 girl together, before their marriage in 1994. In early 1996, Sujarini took her children and fled to the United Kingdom after she was accused of having an affair with a 60-year-old Thai air marshal. The Crown Prince was furious. Apparently, he went on a rampage and placed giant posters all over the palace with disrespectful comments and images of Sujarini and the Thai air marshal. Naturally, the couple divorced in 1996, and their children were stripped of their royal titles, their place in the line of succession financially cut off, disowned, and forced to remain in exile forever. Kind of. Several months later, the Crown Prince ordered the return of his daughter, now known as Her Royal Highness Princess Avira Vanavari, back to Thailand. So with little Princess Avira Vanavari living back in Thailand, and after living in the United Kingdom for 11 years, Sujarini and her 4 sons settled in the United States. Soon, H.R.H., also known as Bach to his friends, obtained his bachelor's degree from Stetson University in Florida. 4 years later, he received his J.D. from Stetson University College of Law. Today, he's a well-known legal counselor living in New York City. Now, back to the return of Vok in Bangkok on Sunday. Upon his arrival at Bangkok International Airport, Vok was met by a group of Thai monarchists. As they cheered and clapped and cried upon seeing the king's son, Vok smiled and said, quote, "Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much." End quote. With His Majesty the King's son in Thailand, what does this mean? After all these years, does this mean that His Majesty the King is willing to publicly reconcile with his son? Will he welcome his son back into the royal fold and potentially be on the short list of heirs to the Thai throne? Since ascending to the throne in 2016, His Majesty the King has yet to name his heir. And honestly, he's running out of time. Only 3 of His Majesty the King's children have formal titles, making them eligible as heirs to the throne under the 1924 Palace Law of Succession and Thailand's Constitution. Sadly, one of them is in a coma. His Majesty the King's eldest daughter, Her Royal Highness Princess Bajra Kitty-Yabaha, also known as Princess Ba of Thailand. On Wednesday, December 15th, 2022, the beloved princess, who is also a lawyer and former ambassador of Thailand to Austria, lost consciousness and collapsed in a park while training with her dogs for an upcoming competition. The princess was immediately rushed to a nearby hospital and then eventually flown by helicopter to a hospital in Bangkok. On Saturday, December 18th, the Thai royal court issued a press release noting that the 44-year-old Princess Ba collapsed due to a severe heart arrhythmia resulting from an inflammation following a mycoplasma infection. Her doctors have been using a support system to keep her heart, lungs, and kidneys functioning. The second child who is eligible is His Majesty the King's youngest son, 18-year-old His Royal Highness Prince Dipangkorn of Thailand. After many years of living abroad in Germany, the prince, whom many believe has autism, returned to Thailand several months ago after the collapse of his eldest sister, Princess Ba. The third child who is eligible is Her Royal Highness Princess Savir Vanavari of Thailand. The 36-year-old princess is a well-known fashion designer, poet, and accomplished equestrian who is quite popular amongst young people in Thailand. So here we are. Vok returns to his homeland. Though he's not eligible at this time, Vok is the king's best choice. He is well-educated, intelligent, kind, and compassionate. Despite being cut off and disowned by his father all those years ago, Vok has remained loyal to Thailand and a supporter of the Thai monarchy in the United States. After being in his homeland for the past 3 days, the Thai royal court has yet to issue a statement regarding the return of the king's son. On Monday, Vok met with the 20th Supreme Patriarch of the Buddhist Sangha, who was appointed by His Majesty the King in 2017. Vok also visited temples, including the City Pillar and the Temple of the Emerald Buddha. He also enjoyed delicious Thai food and had a chance to ride in a tuk-tuk. When a journalist asked Vok how he was feeling, he replied, quote, "I am delighted to return to Thailand. I have been warmly welcomed. I have been away for such a long time, 27 years." End quote. On Tuesday, he visited the Foundation for the Slum Child Care, which is supported by the Thai Royal Court. After the visit, Vok took to social media and wrote, quote, "The value of heritage comes from its inheritors. Great pleasure to support the FSCC." End quote. Prior to Vok returning to Thailand, he wrote on one of his social media pages, quote, "Happy birthday, father." End quote. Only time will tell if the return of Vok will ultimately place him in a position in the line of succession to the throne. I can only hope. Number 9. The engagement of His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei. In early October, the Royal Court of Brunei announced the engagement of the prince to his longtime love, Miss Anissa Isa Kalibek. Prince Abdul Mateen is the fourth son of His Majesty Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah of Brunei and his ex-wife, Miriam Aziz. Here is my original report. Well, this is wonderful, wonderful news. Last evening, the Royal Court of Brunei announced the engagement of His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei to Miss Anissa Isa Kalibek. Prince Abdul Mateen is the fourth son of His Majesty Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah of Brunei and his second ex-wife, Haja Miriam binti Haji Abdul Aziz. Miss Kalibek is a granddaughter of the Honorable Bahin Dato Haji Isa bin Ibrahim, the Sultan's special advisor and a minister at the Prime Minister of the Sultanate of Brunei's office. The 10-day royal wedding festivities will begin on January 7th, 2024, with the traditional royal wedding proposal, or engagement, at the Royal Palace of Nurul Iman. On January 8th, the opening ceremony of the Jen Dang Jaga Jaga drum ceremony will take place with the performance by the Royal Court musicians. And I have no doubt that I mispronounced Jen Dang Jaga Jaga. And I also know I have wonderful viewers from Malaysia, Brunei, and Thailand. So to my amazing friends from Brunei, can you please tell me how to pronounce Jen Dang Jaga Jaga? I've looked and I can't find it, so if you could correct me, I would appreciate it. Okay, moving on. The ceremony of the receiving of the royal sign and the royal engagement ceremony will take place on January 9th. Yay, my birthday. The royal wedding will take place on January 11th at the Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque. The ceremonial royal procession of the new royal couple through the streets of the capital will take place on January 14th. On January 15th, a glittering gala banquet will take place at the Royal Palace, and the ceremony of the reciting of the Doa Selamat, which are known as the congratulation prayers, and the closing of the Jendang Jaga Jaga drums will be held on January 16th. Further details regarding the upcoming royal wedding in Brunei will be announced in due course. Congratulations to the couple. I'm so excited for this wedding. Number 8. The christening of His Serene Highness, Hereditary Prince Gustav Albrecht of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg. Here is my original report. His Serene Highness, Hereditary Prince Gustav Albrecht of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg was christened this morning inside the private chapel at Schloss Berleburg. The little prince was born on May 26, 2023 in the United States with the support of a surrogate, and he is the son of their Serene Highnesses Prince Gustaf and Princess Carina of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg. The 6 godparents are His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark, Danish actress Miss Ellen Hillingso, Ms. Arabella Gagaro, a close friend of Princess Carina from Dorset, England, His Highness Prince Franz Albrecht of Oettingen-Spielberg. Bottom row, left to right, Her Royal Highness Princess Theodora of Greece, and His Highness Prince Karl Anton of Waldeck and Pyrmont. Guests attending the small and very private christening included Her Royal Highness Princess Benedicte of Denmark, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandra of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, Countess of Elefeld-Larving-Bille, Count Michael of Elefeld-Larving-Bille, Count Richard von Pfahl und Klein-Elguth, Countess Ingrid von Pfahl und Klein-Elguth, Her Serene Highness Princess Natalie of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, Mr. Konstantin Johannesmann, and Miss Lieselot Axelson. In a press release, Mr. Ralph Brankamp, the spokesman for the princely couple, confirmed that Hereditary Prince Gustav Albrecht's christening gown was designed by Ms. Birgit Hallstein. Ms. Hallstein designed Princess Carina's wedding gown. Quote, "The christening gown is a copy of the christening gown worn by Prince Gustaf at his christening. However, due to the fragile condition of the gown, a new one was created. The new christening gown is longer and has antique lace panels on the front. It is made with linen lace from the 1860s. The gown also has a layer of silk from Italy and silk chiffon from France, and the bodice is decorated with antique French lace." End quote. As I mentioned in Tuesday's episode, on Saturday, September 9th, Prince Gustaf and Princess Carina will host a reception inside the Orangery at Schloss Berleburg, quote, "to celebrate the birth of their son, Gustav Albrecht, the hereditary prince of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg," end quote, according to the invitation recently sent out. Prince Gustaf and Princess Carina held their civil wedding ceremony inside the Orangery at Schloss Berleburg on June 3, 2022, after 19 years together and a 4-year legal battle with Prince Gustaf's uncle. The following day, the princely couple held their religious wedding ceremony inside the private chapel at Schloss Berleburg. Number 7. Her Royal Highness Princess Catharina-Amalia, Princess of Oranje's 14-day visit to the Caribbean part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. On January 27th, the princess, accompanied by her parents, their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, began their 14-day visit to the islands of Bonaire, Aruba, Curaçao, St. Martin, St. Eustatius, and Saba. The purpose of the visit was to introduce the princess to the Caribbean part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. According to RVD, each of the islands put together a unique program that covered various topics including colonial history, nature, culture, food, sports, defense operations, and meetings with island residents. Overall, the introductory visit was a major success for the princess. Number 6. Historic state visits. In 2023, there were several historic state visits from various royal houses, including the United Kingdom to the French Republic. Their Imperial Majesties, Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako of Japan's first state visit to Indonesia. The Kingdom of the Netherlands to the Kingdom of Belgium, with one of the year's most lavish gala state banquets at Chateau du Lac. And their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain's highly anticipated state visit to the Kingdom of Denmark. Here is my original report. Their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, accompanied by the Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation, Mr. José Manuel Álvarez, and the Spanish Secretary of State for Commerce, Ms. Siana Mendez, arrived at the Adolfo Suárez Madrid Barajas Airport this morning to attend a farewell ceremony ahead of their 3-day state visit to the Kingdom of Denmark. The purpose of their Majesties, the Minister, and the State Secretary's visit to Denmark is to strengthen the bilateral economic relationship between the two countries in the areas of the green transition, the pharmaceutical industry, shipping, and to promote the Spanish language and culture. The last state visit from the Kingdom of Spain to the Kingdom of Denmark took place in March 1980 during the reign of their Majesties King Juan Carlos I and Queen Sofia of Spain. During their 3-day state visit, their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain will be staying at Fredensborg Slot. On the last day of their visit, per tradition, their Majesties will write their names on the window glass, as many previous kings, queens, and other distinguished guests have done. At 2 p.m., their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain arrived at the Willem Lorentzen terminal at the Copenhagen International Airport, where they were warmly welcomed by Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, and Her Royal Highness Princess Benedicte of Denmark. Then the King and Her Majesty the Queen inspected the Royal Life Guards. Thereafter, their Majesties and Her Majesty the Queen traveled by carriage, escorted by the Royal Guard Hussars Regiment's mounted squadron, from the citadel to Christian VII Slot at Amalienborg to attend an official welcoming reception. Prior to the reception, a private ceremony was held where Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark presented the Order of the Elephant to their Majesties. Originating in the 15th century, the Order of the Elephant is the oldest and noblest Danish order of knights, traditionally presented to royalty and heads of state. Moreover, the Order of the Elephant is only on loan to the recipient. Once an elephant knight passes away, the order must be returned to the chapter of the order. Thus, most of the elephants have been in use several times. The concrete elephant has undergone a minor restoration where it has, amongst other things, been affixed to the Queen's monogram, as an elephant always wears the sitting monarch's monogram when awarded. According to the Danish Royal Court, over 890 individuals since 1580 have received the Order of the Elephant. Quote, during the Queen's 40-year reign, the Order of the Elephant has been bestowed upon 68 people in all. The recipients have been royal persons and foreign heads of state. Once, the order was given to a common-born Dane, namely the recently deceased shipowner Maersk McKinney Møller, in appreciation for his great importance to Danish economic life and Danish society. End quote. In return, their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain presented the Crown Prince couple of Denmark with the Gran Cruz de la Real Orden de Isabel la Católica de España. In 1983, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark received the Distinguida Orden del Torresen de Oro from His Majesty King Juan Carlos I of Spain during her state visit to the Kingdom of Spain. Other monarchs who received the order include the late King Rama IX of Thailand, their Majesties Emeritus King Albrecht II and Emerita Queen Paula of the Belgians, and Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of the Netherlands, the former Queen of the Netherlands. At 3:45 p.m., His Majesty the King held a meeting with the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, at Christiansborg Slot. In the evening, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, wearing the Distinguida Orden del Torresen de Oro, hosted a lavish, glittering gala dinner at Christiansborg Slot in honor of their Majesties' state visit. Guests in attendance included their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, Her Royal Highness Princess Benedicte of Denmark, the Prime Minister of Denmark, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Denmark, Mr. Lars Rasmussen, members of the Danish Parliament, the Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation, Mr. José Manuel Abares, the Spanish Secretary of State for Commerce, Ms. Siana Mendez, members of their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia's court, representatives of Spanish and Danish businesses, representatives of culture and sport, members of Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II's court, members of the Crown Prince couple of Denmark's court, members of Princess Benedicte's court, and distinguished guests. So what was on the menu? Well, guests enjoyed soufflé with vegetables, deer, cabbage and cherries from Gaustine and sauce, mushroom tart and watercress, and Concord cake. And of course, a whole bunch of wine, and champagne. As for the floral decorations, according to the Danish royal court, the queen was inspired by the, quote, autumn forest colors. The floral decorations in Frederick VI's dessert set are arranged in light green, yellow, orange, and salmon-colored shades. Yellow drumstick flowers are matched with orange milkweed and large-headed peach-colored avalanche roses, end quote. Number 5. Her Majesty, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, has extensive back surgery. On February 8th, Miss Lene Ballaby, head of communications for the Danish Royal Court, announced that Her Majesty, Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, will have extensive back surgery on February 22nd. In a press release, Miss Ballaby said, quote, for some time now, Her Majesty has been affected by problems with her back, and the situation has worsened recently. After consultation with the Righus Hospitalet specialists, the Queen has decided to undergo extensive surgery. The operation is planned for Wednesday, 22nd February at the Righus Hospitalet in Copenhagen, where the Queen will thus also be hospitalized afterward. Consequently, a longer sequence of physical rehabilitation is expected. This means that Her Majesty's official program in the near future will be postponed, cancelled, or handled by other members of the royal family. End quote. After the surgery, Miss Ballaby issued another statement, noting that the Queen is in, quote, stable and in good condition under the circumstances, end quote. Today, the Queen has fully recovered from her surgery and is continuing to carry out her official engagements. Oh, and she quit smoking. Good for her. Number 4. Historic royal weddings. Without a doubt, 2023 was a year filled with memorable royal weddings from reigning and non-reigning houses. On September 30th, His Imperial and Royal Highness Archduke Alexander of Austria and Miss Natasha Ronesdaft-Pachkovich married at the Église Saint-Pierre in Belgium. On October 7th, Her Highness Infanta Maria Francisca de Braganza married Mr. Duarte de Sousa Arjo Martins at the Palácio Nacional de Mafra in Mafra, Portugal. On March 12th, Her Royal Highness Princess Iman bint Abdullah of Jordan married Mr. Jamel Alexander Thermodis during a sunset ceremony inside the gazebo at Al Urdun Palace in Amman. On April 29th, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandra of Luxembourg married Mr. Nicolas Bagri at the Église Sainte-Trophime in France. The couple held their civil wedding ceremony days earlier at the town hall in Luxembourg City. Today, the princess and Mr. Bagri are expecting their first child in spring 2024. On May 20th, one of Europe's most eligible bachelors, His Royal Highness Prince Ludwig of Bavaria, married Dutch-Canadian Miss Sophie Alexandra Evekink at the Theatine Church of St. Cajetan and Adelaide in beautiful Munich. On June 1st, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan married Miss Rajwa Al Saif at the historic Zakhan Palace, followed by a lavish wedding banquet at Al Husseiniya Palace in Amman. Here are my 2 original reports. On Thursday afternoon in Amman, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan married Miss Rajwa Khalid bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif in a traditional Muslim wedding ceremony in the Orangery at Zakhan Palace. The ceremony was presided over by Dr. Ahmed Al-Halela, the Imam for the Royal Hashemite Court, with His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan and the bride's father, Mr. Khalid bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif, as witnesses. After signing of the contract, several women began to perform the Zakhorta, and then by royal decree, Miss Rajwa Al Saif officially became known as Her Royal Highness Princess Rajwa Al Hussein of Jordan. After the ceremony, the new Crown Prince couple of Jordan held a receiving line where they thanked their guests for attending the intimate ceremony. Thereafter, the new Crown Prince couple led a wedding procession through the streets of Amman, where thousands of well-wishers cheered as a Crown Prince couple drove by in a custom, quote, 1984 Range Rover with 8 red Land Rovers and 11 red BMWs to Al Husseiniya Palace, end quote. Next to the vehicles, young volunteers from the Crown Prince Foundation's initiatives formed the Jordanian flag as a part of the wedding procession. Upon their arrival at Al Husseiniya Palace, per Jordanian custom, the Crown Prince couple were announced with a traditional zefa as they proceeded through the honorary Arch of Sabers, through the courtyard where they were warmly welcomed with cheers and applause by 1,700 guests. After the reception, the Crown Prince couple and their Majesties attended a glittering gala wedding banquet held at Al Husseiniya Palace. The wedding details. The wedding gown. Her Royal Highness Princess Rajwa Al Hussein of Jordan wore a custom wedding gown and veil designed by Eli Saab. The tiara. The new diamond tiara by Fred has a hidden message in Arabic that says, quote, Rajwa min Allah, meaning hope for Allah. The gala banquet gown. The gala banquet gown was designed by Dolce & Gabbana Alta Moda. The reception. Over 1,700 guests attended the reception, which was held in a specially designed space in the gardens at Al Husseiniya Palace. According to the Royal Hashemite Court, the reception space showcased, quote, Jordanian traditions, craftsmanship, and the country's natural surroundings. Guests entered the reception on a path that evokes the Jordanian desert, featuring a 20-meter-long hand-woven Bedouin rug, created specifically for the royal wedding by the Bani Hamida Women's Weaving Project and the Madaba Governorate. End quote. According to Vogue Arabia, once inside the reception space, quote, guests were greeted by the sight of native olive trees, surrounded by dune-like displays of dates, which represent hospitality in both Jordanian and Saudi cultures. The reception space featured an installation of 5 large-scale mesh arches, inspired by the architecture of the palace and the hues of the desert landscape of the Wadi Rum. Guest seats are adorned with traditional embroidery patterns, hand-stitched by women artisans employed by the Al-Karma Embroidery Center and the Darash Women Charitable Society. Utilizing local seasonal flowers, the palace's archways was steeped in jasmine. End quote. During the reception, guests were treated to performances by several Jordanian and Saudi singers, a choir group, Jordanian bands, the National Orchestra, and folk dance troupes. The guests. Over 140 guests attended the wedding ceremony at Sakhan Palace, including Mr. Khalid bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif and Mrs. Azza bint Nayef Abdul Aziz Ahmed Al Sudari, the bride's parents. Mr. Faisal bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif, Mr. Nayef bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif, Ms. Dana bin Musad bin Saif bin Abdul Aziz Al Saif, the bride's brothers and sister, and the bride's extended family. Her Royal Highness Princess Muna Al Hussein of Jordan, the groom's grandmother. The groom's aunts. Her Royal Highness Princess Zayn Al Hussein of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Aisha Al Hussein of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Aya bint Faisal of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Aisha bint Faisal of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Rayet Al Noor bint Hashim of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Hala bint Hashim of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Sarah bint Faisal of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Jalala bint Ali of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Omar bin Faisal of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Abdullah bin Ali of Jordan. Mrs. Sharifa Suk bint Hamid, the fiancée of Mr. Abdul Hamid Al Salila. Mr. Jafar Al Salih. His Royal Highness Prince Hussein Mirza of Jordan. Mr. Talal Al Salih. Mr. Abdul Hamid Al Salih. Her Royal Highness Princess Alia bint Hussein of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Ali bin Hussein of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Rim Al Ali of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Sumaya bint Al Hassan of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Rashid bin Hassan of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Zina Al Rashid of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Zina Al Faisal of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Hussein of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Gita Al Talal of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Talal bin Muhammad of Jordan. His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi bin Muhammad of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Miriam Al Ghazi of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Basma bint Talal of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Raya bint Hussein of Jordan, and her husband, Mr. Ned Donovan. His Royal Highness Prince Hashim bin Hussein of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Fada Al Hashim of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Badia bint Hassan of Jordan, and her husband, Mr. Khalid Edward Blair. Her Royal Highness Princess Rahwa bint Hassan of Jordan, and her husband, Mr. Allah Arif. Their Royal Highnesses Prince Hassan bin Talal of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Sarvath Al Hassan of Jordan. Her Royal Highness Princess Iman bint Abdullah II of Jordan, who served as a bridesmaid, and her husband, Mr. Jamel Thermotis. Her Royal Highness Princess Salma bint Abdullah II of Jordan, who also served as a bridesmaid, and His Royal Highness Prince Hashim bin Abdullah II of Jordan, who presented or gave away the bride, as well as dignitaries, Jordanian government officials, foreign monarchs, and their heirs. After the reception at Al Husseiniya Palace, a glittering gala banquet was held, once again at Al Husseiniya Palace, for a select number of world leaders, dignitaries, and foreign monarchs and their heirs, including His Majesty the Sultan of Brunei, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei, His Majesty King Philippe of the Belgians, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth of Belgium, Duchess of Brabant, Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, Her Royal Highness Princess Catharina-Amalia, Princess of Oranje, Their Majesties the King and Queen of Malaysia, Her Highness Sheikh Moza bint Nasir of Qatar, Their Majesties Emeritus King Juan Carlos I and Emerita Queen Sofia of Spain, Her Majesty Queen Jetson of Bhutan, Her Royal Highness Princess Euphalima of Bhutan, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa of Bahrain, His Highness Crown Prince Saeed Thayezin bin Haytham Al Saeed of Oman, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of Abu Dhabi, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden, His Serene Highness Hereditary Prince Alois and Her Royal Highness Hereditary Princess Sophie of Liechtenstein, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, Their Royal Highnesses the Prince and Princess of Wales, His Highness Crown Prince Sheikh Misal Al-Ahmed Al-Jabbar Al-Sabah of Kuwait, Her Imperial Highness Princess Hisako of Takamado, Her Imperial Highness Princess Saguko of Takamado, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice of York and her husband, His Royal Highness Prince Sebastian of Luxembourg, Farah Pahlavi, the last Empress of Iran, Tsar Simeon and Tsarina Margrethe of Bulgaria, His Royal Highness Prince Kirill of Bulgaria, and Miss Catherine Butler, Her Majesty Margrethe, the custodian of the Crown of Romania, and His Royal Highness Prince Radu of Romania, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Pavlos of Greece, and of course members of the royal family of Jordan, including one of the most beloved members of the family, His Royal Highness Prince Hassan bin Talal of Jordan, the brother of the late King Hussein of Jordan, and the lovely Her Royal Highness Princess Sarwat Al-Hassan of Jordan, His Royal Highness Prince Hashim bin Abdullah II of Jordan, Her Royal Highness Princess Imam bint Abdullah II of Jordan, and her husband, Mr. Jamel Thermotis, and Her Royal Highness Princess Salma bint Abdullah II of Jordan, to name a few. That was a lot. Guests attending the gala banquet were requested to wear medals/state orders of merit, sashes, historical jewelry, and tiaras for the ladies. As I mentioned before, Princess Rajwa is wearing a new tiara designed by Fred. Her Majesty the Queen is wearing the famous Arabic scroll tiara. The white gold tiara with the quote, "Allah is great," was designed by Fred and contains over 13,000 diamonds. Their Majesties King Abdullah II and Queen Rania of Jordan are both wearing the Al Hussein bin Ali medal. According to the Royal Hashemite Court, the medal is presented to, quote, kings, princes, and heads of state. It is the highest civilian honor in the kingdom, end quote. Also wearing the Al Hussein bin Ali medal on Thursday were His Majesty King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands, His Majesty King Philippe of the Belgians, and His Majesty Emeritus King Juan Carlos I of Spain. Other members of the royal family of Jordan, as well as foreign royals, were wearing the Order of Al-Nahda, including Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, Her Majesty Emerita Queen Sofia of Spain, Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, and His Royal Highness Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark. Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan wore the Independence Order, also known as a Wissam al-Istiqlal, which is presented to, quote, civilians and servicemen, Arabs and foreigners who have done great national, pan-Arab, or international services, end quote. On Friday morning, His Majesty the King took to social media to say thank you to all the amazing Jordanians for their love and support for his son and the new Princess of Jordan, stating, quote, "A heartfelt thank you to the sons and daughters of our dear people who have shared our joy with Hussein and Rajwa. Thanks to the brothers and friends for being with us on this occasion, and may the Jordanians always remain full of joy," end quote. On Saturday in Munich, Prince Ludwig of Bavaria married Miss Sophie Alexandra Ewekink at the beautiful Baroque St. Cajetan Church, with Cardinal Reinhard Marx, Archbishop of Munich and Freising, presiding. Prince Ludwig, who is a great-great-grandson of the last Bavarian king, Ludwig III, and the future of the head of the House of Wittelsbach, and Princess Sophie held their civil wedding ceremony on December 24, 2022 at Schloss Kaltenberg, with the mayor of Geltendorf presiding. According to the newspaper Abendzeitung München, the ceremony was, quote, "a small celebration with a couple wearing traditional Bavarian costumes and the parents of the couple as witnesses," end quote. After the hour-and-a-half religious wedding ceremony, Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie emerged from the St. Cajetan Church with cheers and applause from hundreds of well-wishers, with a brass band in traditional costumes playing the Bavarian anthem while white rose petals fell on the lovely prince couple. Soon the prince and princess, along with their guests, drove to Schloss Nymphenburg to attend a private reception hosted by the head of the House of Wittelsbach, Duke Franz of Bavaria. Guests dined on regional organic food and drinks from Bavaria. During the reception, the prince and princess cut the classic Prince Regent cake, created by Café Luitpold. In the early evening, the prince and princess, along with 200 guests, attended a glittering gala dinner and soiree held at Schloss Schleißheim. The organic and healthy vegetarian menu was created by Michelin star chef Jan Hartwig. In the tradition of large international weddings, the non-binding dress code for the bridal soiree is a tailcoat for gentlemen and a long evening dress for the ladies. The 200 select royal and princely guests were requested to wear historical jewelry, such as tiaras worn by married women. Orders, both state orders of merit and non-state insignia of private knightly orders, were also requested to be worn. Princess Sophie wore a Bavarian blue gown designed by Wona Concept, with a Bavarian sapphire tiara. Prince Ludwig wore the insignia of the Royal Bavarian House Knights Order of St. George and the House Knights Order of St. Hubertus. In lieu of gifts, Prince Ludwig and Princess Sophie asked for support for their humanitarian projects. The donations go in equal parts to the nonprofit organization Learning Lions in Kenya, to which Prince Ludwig has been committed for almost 10 years, and to projects that Princess Sophie is in charge of together with the Nymphenburg Aid Association, which are intended to help victims from conflict and crisis areas. Now, for the details of the wedding. Oh, what a beautiful wedding it was. The wedding gown. The new princess wore a custom gown designed by famed Lebanese-American designer Reem Akra. The designer incorporated elements of nature, such as lace with leaves, vines, and various flowers. According to a spokesperson for the House of Wittelsbach, the final stages of the dress were, quote, "wonderfully pulled together locally by Serene Tauti from My Fair Dress in Munich," end quote. Dressmaker Miss Katrina von Lachenfeld, cousin of Prince Ludwig, designed the bespoke handkerchief for the church as a, quote, "something blue," end quote, woven from a fabric that came from the bride's grandmother. The veil. The delicate lace veil was created by the Ukrainian fashion house Wona Concept. Woven in the veil are various elements, such as the Dutch tulip, Canadian maple leaf, and the Bavarian lion. The tiara. The tiara in the form of leafy branches and flowers is known as the Bavarian sapphire tiara, worn by Prince Ludwig's grandmother, Princess Irmengard of Bavaria, on her wedding day in 1950. The Flower Girls and Page Boys. The Flower Girls and Page Boys were custom outfits designed by Munich designer Gabi Nitzel from Niederbayern. The styles were chosen to fit the traditional Bavarian color scheme of blue and white, with a hint of light green, Princess Sophie's favorite color, incorporated into the Dubian silk fabric. The Page Boys' outfits were inspired by Prince Ludwig's great-uncle, Prince Heinrich of Bavaria. The floral design and flowers. The Ashwin floral design in Munich created the dreamy flower displays. The florist has been a longtime friend and client, 25 years, of the House of Wittelsbach. The flowers themselves are all about the Bavarian blue and white color scheme, with Dutch tulips and peonies along with lilies of the valley, all of which are Princess Sophie's favorite flowers. The guests. Over 700 guests attended the church wedding, including the minister-president of Bavaria, the bride's family, the groom's family, and close friends. Number 3. Royal Milestone Birthdays. 2023 was a year filled with royal milestone birthdays, beginning on July 14th with His Royal Highness Duke Franz of Bavaria, celebrating his 90th birthday in Munich, Germany. In lieu of gifts, the Duke requested that family and friends and well-wishers donate money to the Nymphenburg Foundation to help those in need, specifically the elderly, who are living in poverty and or are homeless in Munich. In August, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Margrethe of Norway celebrated their 50th birthdays with a backyard party at the Royal Palace in Oslo. The guest list included individuals with whom the Crown Prince couple have met during their many trips in beautiful Norway, as well as project collaborators, members of patronage organizations, and Norwegian government officials. On December 3rd, His Highness Prince Sverre Magnus of Norway, the son of the Crown Prince couple of Norway, and the grandson of their Majesties King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway, celebrated his 18th birthday. On December 23rd, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Emeritus Akihito of Japan celebrated his 90th birthday at Akasaka Palace in Tokyo. While in Stockholm, Her Majesty Queen Sylvia of Sweden celebrated her 80th birthday at Drottningholm Palace with her husband, children, and grandchildren. In October, Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Asturias and His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark celebrated their 18th birthdays. Here are my original reports. In Copenhagen, His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark celebrated his 18th birthday, and, like all 18-year-olds, the prince had a grand birthday celebration hosted by Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark. On the occasion of his special day and a major turning point in his life, Her Majesty the Queen presented the Order of the Elephant to the prince during a private ceremony at Frederik VIII's Slot at Amalienborg. Originating in the 15th century, the Order of the Elephant is the oldest and noblest Danish order of knights, traditionally presented to royalty and heads of state. Moreover, the Order of the Elephant is only on loan to the recipient. Once an elephant knight passes away, the order must be returned to the chapter of the order. Thus, most of the elephants have been in use several times. The concrete elephant has undergone a minor restoration for the occasion, where it has, amongst other things, been affixed to the Queen's monogram, as an elephant always wears a sitting monarch's monogram when awarded. Prince Christian also received the Grand Cross of the Order of St. Olaf from His Majesty King Harald V of Norway. Founded in 1847 by King Oscar I, the Royal Norwegian Order of the Grand Cross of the Order of St. Olaf is conferred to foreign royalty, heads of state, and Norwegian nationals. The collar of the order may also be conferred by the king on holders of the Grand Cross. The Grand Cross with the collar represents the order's highest class. The celebrations began 10 minutes before noon when a tall, young, smiling man was seen peeking through the curtains to watch the changing of the Royal Life Guards in Amalienborg Slot Square. Then, at noon sharp, Prince Christian appeared on the balcony at Frederik VIII's Slot at Amalienborg to wave to the thousands of Danes and tourists who came out to wish the future King of Denmark a very happy birthday. According to the Danish royal court, while on the balcony, the prince wore the Order of the Elephant's rosette on the lapel of his jacket. The rosette shows that the wearer is an elephant knight and is typically worn on official occasions where no major orders are worn. Soon, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark and Her Majesty the Queen joined the prince on the balcony. Moments later, Her Royal Highness Princess Isabella of Denmark, His Royal Highness Prince Vincent of Denmark, and Her Royal Highness Princess Josephine of Denmark joined Prince Christian and the family on the balcony to wave to the crowds. In the evening, Her Majesty the Queen hosted a glittering gala dinner inside the Hall of Knights at Christiansborg Slot. Guests in attendance included Her Royal Highness Princess Benedicte of Denmark, Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of Greece, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Pavlos and Crown Princess Marie Chantal of Greece, their Serene Highnesses Prince Gustaf and Princess Carina of Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg, Mr. Craig Stevens, Mrs. Jane Stevens, Crown Princess Mary's eldest sister and the godmother of Prince Christian, Miss Sherry Copen, Ms. Michelle Donaldson, Mr. Hamish Campbell, the godfather of Prince Christian and longtime friend of Crown Princess Mary, their Royal Highnesses Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden, Her Royal Highness Princess Estelle of Sweden, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, Her Royal Highness Princess Ingrid Alexandra of Norway, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth of Belgium, Duchess of Brabant, Her Royal Highness Princess Catharina-Amalia, Princess of Oranje, their Royal Highnesses Prince Joachim and Princess Marie of Denmark, His Excellency Count Felix of Montpezat, His Excellency Count Henrik of Montpezat, and Her Excellency Countess Athena of Montpezat, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, and finally His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark, wearing the Order of the Elephant for the first time, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, Her Royal Highness Princess Isabella of Denmark, His Royal Highness Prince Vincent of Denmark, and Her Royal Highness Princess Josephine of Denmark. Other guests included members of Her Majesty the Queen's Court, the Crown Prince Couple's Court, including Crown Prince Frederick's former longtime private secretary, Mr. Pierre Tornt, Princess Benedicte's Court, members of the Danish government and military, representatives from a selection of the country's youth organizations and young people who have distinguished themselves in the world of sport, art, and culture. In addition, over 200 young people from the Commonwealth, Greenland, and the Faroe Islands, as well as two 18-year-olds from Denmark's 98 municipalities. After the arrival of the guests and the receiving line, the royal procession took place, beginning with members of the non-reigning royal and princely houses. This was followed by the royal procession of the reigning houses, Sweden, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and members of the Danish royal family. The grand entrance, naturally, was the Queen escorting Prince Christian into the Hall of Knights. The glittering gala dinner began with the Queen giving a speech, stating, quote, "Dear Christian, your 18th birthday is an important day. With it, you come of age, just as it happens for all other young Danes. But there is still a difference. Your path in life is already set, for one day you will follow your father, just as he will follow me one day. You become a link in the long historical chain that has bonded our country together for centuries. It can sound frightening when you're 18 years young. It is a challenge, but there is also a sense of security in knowing where you are going and in knowing that others have been in the same situation and have followed the same path. We have always had to feel the responsibility, but we have never failed to feel the warm support that has surrounded us, as you have also experienced from the Castle Square at Amalienborg today. May your 18th birthday be a good and festive prelude to many good years as you expand your horizons and develop all the lives within you. Those are my birthday wishes for you today." End quote. In his speech, the Crown Prince said to his son, quote, "Today marks a transition. Today, you embark on the future that you did not choose for yourself, but that has been chosen for you. You are obligated. You are heir to the throne. You are also young and new in the line. Can you prepare and practice for it? Yes, you can, and you do. Does it remove all doubts and all strays? No, by no means. The art is to be able to be with the doubt. As a rule, it evaporates little by little. But sometimes it lingers because it is a part of being human, like the wild roads. If you lose your bearings, stop. Put 'promise me one thing' on the system and hum along to the chorus. To fail is to learn. Because it's not the mistakes that slow us down, but the fear of making them. So fear not. Only believe, and above all, never be lazy about life." End quote. That is so true. Thank you, Crown Prince Frederick. And finally, the man of the hour, Prince Christian, gave a speech stating, quote, "I have to find my way. even if it leads to a familiar place. I have roots in many places in the world, and I enjoy traveling. But home will always be here, because I love my country. I suggest that we rise together and raise a toast to the Kingdom of Denmark." End quote. Someone else gave a speech stating, quote, I'm kidding. So what was on the menu? Well, guests dined on delicious roasted tilbo with fennel, Jerusalem artichokes, and Danish truffles, stuffed Glastin young rooster, vegetables from Fredensborg Slot with Karl Johan sauce, a big old birthday cake, and peaches from Fredensborg Slot, as well as wines from Chateau de Gex. The unique and diverse floral decorations included velvety red roses, milk thistle, oh, one of my favorites, pink veronicas, yellow snapdragons, carnations, salmon-colored cloves, bird of paradise, foxtail, and red climbing lilies. As for the royal jewels worn by the ladies today, well, honestly, I'm not an expert in that department, but I can recommend, and I'm pretty sure you all have visited this website or know her personally, Lauren from the Court Jeweler. I have been a fan of hers for years, going way back to when she first started her blog called A Tiara a Day, and then she transitioned over to the Court Jeweler. So, in the description box below, I will leave a direct link to the Court Jeweler. And with that, happy birthday, Prince Christian. I hope you had a wonderful day. In Madrid, Her Royal Highness, Princess Leonor of Asturias, celebrated her 18th birthday. And on the occasion of her special day, the heir to the crown of Spain took the juramento de la Constitución Española before the Cortes Generales. According to Article 61, Section 2 of the Constitución Española, passed by the Cortes Generales in plenary meetings of the Congreso de los Diputados and the El Senado on October 31st, 1978, then ratified by the Spanish people in the referendum of December 6, 1978, and sanctioned by His Majesty the King before the Cortes on December 27, 1978, states, quote, "The Crown Prince, upon reaching the age of maturity, and the Regent or Regents upon assuming office, shall take the same oath, as well as that of loyalty to the King." End quote. When Princess Leonor ascends to the throne, she will be the first queen to reign in her own right, sura jure, since Isabel II of Spain in 1843. The historic day began on the Plaza de las Cortes, where Their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Asturias, and Infanta Sofia of Spain were welcomed by the Prime Minister of Spain, Mr. Pedro Sanchez, and the Chief of the Defense Staff, Mr. Teodoro Esteban Lopez. After receiving military honors and a review of the Honors Battalion by His Majesty the King, the royal family arrived at the Congreso de los Diputados de España, where they were warmly welcomed by the President of the Congreso de los Diputados, Ms. Francina Armengol, and the President of El Senado, Mr. Pedro Royan. Once inside the building, the royal family was welcomed by the President of the Constitutional Court, Mr. Candido Conde Pompido, and the President of the General Council of the Judiciary, Mr. Rafael Mozo. At 11 a.m., the royal family arrived in the chamber where the solemn ceremony began with the national anthem. Moments later, the President of the Congreso de los Diputados, Ms. Francina Armengol, gave a speech which, according to the Spanish Royal Court, included the reference to the agreement adopted by the Council of Ministers on October 10, 2023, requesting the, quote, holding of the joint session of the chambers for the taking of the oath referred to in Article 61, Section 2, end quote. After her speech, Ms. Armengol requested the deputies and senators to stand. Then, she requested for the princess to come forward to take the jura, also known as the oath. The tall, beautiful, confident young princess stood up, approached the table, and said, quote, "I swear to faithfully perform my duties, to keep the Constitution and the laws and respect of the rights of citizens and the autonomous communities, and loyalty to the King," end quote. Thereafter, Ms. Armengol said, quote, "The Cortes Generales have just received the oath that Your Highness has taken in compliance with the Constitution as heir to the crown. Ladies and gentlemen, viva la Constitución, viva el Rey, viva España," end quote. The solemn ceremony concluded with the singing of the national anthem and the closing of the session of the Cortes Generales. Prior to leaving, the princess received medals from the Congress, the Senate, and the Medalla de Oro from the Comunidad de Madrid. The princess, along with their majesties, also signed the Book of Honor inside the Salon de Ministros. Thereafter, the princess, their majesties, and Infanta Sofia of Spain, along with the Prime Minister of Spain, Mr. Pedro Sanchez, and high-ranking military officials, each representing the branches of the Spanish Armed Forces, returned to Palacio Real de Madrid. In the afternoon, during a special ceremony in the Salon de Carlos III, His Majesty the King presented the princess with the Collar de la Real y Distinguida Orden Española de Carlos III. Established by King Carlos III by royal decree on September 19, 1771, with the motto Virtute et Merito, the order is the highest of the Spanish civil orders and is amongst the oldest in the world. The order is presented to individuals who, with their effort, initiative, and work, have brought a distinguished and extraordinary service to the nation and the crown. The order consists of the following degrees: Collar, Grand Cross, Commendation of Number, Commendation, and Cross. His Majesty the King is the Grand Master of the order. The collar consists of 41 gold links with a gold figure of King Carlos III, fringed with palm and gold laurel enameled in green and red, followed on both sides by 2 rampant gold lions turned towards the figure of King Carlos III, each followed by a castle also made of gold, followed by a war trophy composed of a gold knight's helmet and 2 cross flags, the setting in a gold band enameled in red, accompanied by a course of gold and the setting in a bar enameled in blue, accompanied by a sheaf of gold lictor, all bordered by laurel leaves enameled in green. The Collar de Carlos III is reserved for members of the royal family of Spain, heads of state and government, and Spanish citizens who have held the Grand Cross for more than 3 years. Foreign monarchs who were presented with the collar and the order include His Majesty King Carl Gustaf of Sweden, His Majesty King Harald V of Norway, His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco, His Majesty King Abdul II of Jordan, and His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg. After receiving the Collar de la Real y Distinguida Orden Española de Carlos III, the princess gave a speech, stating, quote, "On turning 18 today and reaching the age of majority, I have taken the oath provided for in our Constitution. I have sworn to faithfully carry out my duties, to keep and ensure that the Constitution and the laws are kept, to respect the rights of citizens and the autonomous communities, as well as fidelity to the King. From today, I owe myself to all Spaniards, whom I will serve at all times, with respect and loyalty. There is no greater pride. On this very important day, which I will always remember with emotion, I ask you to trust me, as I have put all my trust in our future, in the future of Spain. I have solemnly, formally, and publicly committed myself to our democratic principles and our constitutional values, which I fully assume. And I have assumed a great responsibility toward Spain before the Cortes Generales, which I hope to reciprocate with the greatest dignity and with the best example. I have also sworn an oath of fidelity to the King, not only as a person, but also what the crown symbolizes and represents, the unity and permanence of Spain. I remember very well what my father the King told me when he awarded me the Golden Fleece. He said, 'You will be permanently guided by the Constitution, complying with it and observing it. You will serve Spain with humility and are aware of your institutional position. These are the words that I will keep in mind at all times.'" End quote. After the ceremony, their majesties hosted a luncheon at the Palacio. Guests included members of the Spanish government, presidents of the autonomous communities, constitutional bodies, representatives of the Spanish Armed Forces, members of the European Commission, the Spanish Olympic Committee, state security forces and corps, Knights of the Golden Fleece, royal academies, city councils, religious and youth organizations, to name a few. The historic day ended with a private birthday party for Princess Leonor at the Palacio Real de El Pardo. Number 2. King Carl Gustaf of Sweden's Golden Jubilee. The celebrations began in January with their majesties King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia of Sweden visiting all 21 countries in the kingdom on the occasion of the king's 50th anniversary on the throne. The events ended with a Golden Jubilee extravaganza weekend in which Scandinavian monarchs, their heirs, and presidents from Iceland and Finland in attendance. Here is my original report. Their Majesties King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia of Sweden, their Royal Highnesses Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden, Her Royal Highness Princess Estelle of Sweden, His Royal Highness Prince Oscar of Sweden, their Royal Highnesses Prince Carl Philip and Princess Sophia of Sweden, Her Royal Highness Princess Madeline of Sweden, and her husband, Mr. Christopher O'Neill, continued His Majesty the King's Golden Jubilee weekend celebrations this morning in Stockholm. The day began with members of the Swedish royal family, along with Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of Greece, and their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, visiting the grave of the late King Gustav Adolf of Sweden in Hagaparken. The late Swedish king was the grandfather of King Carl Gustaf and the maternal grandfather of Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, Princess Benedicte of Denmark, and Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of Greece. Thereafter, members of the Swedish royal family and Danish royal family attended a Te Deum led by Bishop Johan Dahlman and the royal court chaplain, Father Michael, inside the royal chapel at the Royal Palace in Stockholm. Guests attending the service included the President and the First Lady of Finland, the President and the First Lady of Iceland, Their Majesties King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway, Princess Christina, Mrs. Magnusson, and her husband, Mr. Tord Magnusson, members of Parliament, government, representatives from various religious communities, as well as current and former members of the royal court. At noon, His Majesty the King and His Royal Highness Prince Carl Philip of Sweden attended the changing of the guard in the outer courtyard of the palace. During the ceremony, the Army Music Corps, the Life Guards Dragoon Music Corps, and the Navy Music Corps performed. Thereafter, the Royal Swedish Academy of Music, along with the Swedish Radio Choir and children's and youth choirs, performed a tribute in honor of the king as members of the royal families and heads of state looked on. In the evening, His Majesty the King gave a televised speech to the people of Sweden live on SVT. In his speech, the king said, among other things, quote, "It is my hope that now and in the coming years, I can continue to serve our Sweden, in both up and down, in good times as well as in times of great challenge. A Sweden firmly rooted in its history, with a steady gaze towards a bright and happy future." End quote. Thereafter, His Majesty the King hosted a glittering gala dinner held inside the Hall Estate at the Royal Palace. Guests in attendance included members of the Swedish royal family, Her Majesty Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of Greece, their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, Their Majesties King Harald V and Queen Sonja of Norway, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, Princess Christina, Mrs. Magnusson, and her husband, Mr. Tord Magnusson, members of Swedish Parliament, the government, representatives from industry, culture, the media, foundations, religious communities, and the Royal Court of Sweden. During the gala dinner, His Majesty the King gave a speech, and naturally, there were toasts all around. And finally, number 1, the coronation of His Majesty King Charles III of the United Kingdom. Yesterday morning in London, the historic coronation of Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla of the United Kingdom took place at Westminster Abbey. The service, presided over by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend and Right Honorable Justin Welby, reflected His Majesty the King's role today and also, quote, "looked towards the future while being rooted in long-standing traditions and pageantry," end quote. According to Buckingham Palace, yesterday's magnificent coronation service centered around the liturgical theme of, quote, "called to serve," end quote, and His Majesty the King's solemn vow and commitment to serve God and the people of the nations and the realms. Over 2,200 guests were invited to witness the ancient ritual, which dates back almost 1,000 years, filled with symbolism, such as the recognition, or calling of the corners, an ancient element of the coronation service in which the king is recognized as the true monarch. The recognition began the service in which His Majesty the King turned to each of the 4 points of the compass, north, south, east, and west, which is also known by many as calling of the corners. The sword of offering. The sword of offering symbolizes the protection of good and the punishment of evil, which was placed in the king's right hand. Other swords were used during the coronation, including the massive Sword of State, and the sword of temporal justice, the sword of spiritual justice, and the sword of mercy, which was first used in the coronation of King Charles I in 1626. The scepter with the cross and the scepter with the dove. The scepter with the cross is a symbol of power and justice, and the scepter with the dove is a symbol of equity and mercy, which were brought from the altar by the Primus of the Scottish Episcopal Church and the Archbishop of Wales, and placed in the king's right and left hands by the Archbishop of Canterbury. The presentation of the armills. The presentation of the armills are bracelets, which symbolizes sincerity, wisdom, knighthood, and military leadership, and the orb, symbolizing the Christian world. The coronation ring, a sapphire with ruby cross set in diamonds, was made for the coronation of King William IV in 1834. And the spurs. The anointing. The anointing is the most solemn and sacred part of the service, and it began as a choir sang George Friedrich Handel's Zadok the Priest, which was composed for the coronation of King George II in 1727. As the choir sings Zadok the Priest, the Archbishop of Canterbury, assisted by the Dean of Westminster and the Archbishop of York, anoint the king's hands, chest, and head. And the crowning. The crowning. The Dean of Westminster delivered St. Edward's crown to the Archbishop of Canterbury, who then blessed it before placing the crown on His Majesty the King. Then the Archbishop led the congregation of Westminster Abbey in saying, God save the King. Then the bells at the Abbey rang as gun salutes are fired in celebration on Horse Guards Parade, at His Majesty's Fortress, the Tower of London, and at saluting stations throughout the United Kingdom, Gibraltar, Bermuda, and His Majesty's ships at sea. Following the homage to the King, led by the Archbishop of Canterbury and His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, was a coronation of the Queen. Her Majesty knelt at the chair of the estate and was anointed on the head by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Then the Queen's ring was presented to Her Majesty by the Keeper of the Jewel House, and Her Majesty was then crowned by the Archbishop with Queen Mary's crown. Then the former Bishop of London and the Bishop of Dover presented Her Majesty the Queen with the Queen's scepter with the cross and the Queen's rod with the dove. Escorted by the Archbishops of Canterbury and York, and the Bishops of Hereford and Norwich, and the Queen's companions, Her Majesty the Queen was then enthroned. After the service, their Majesties entered the gold state coach and returned to Buckingham Palace in a larger ceremonial procession known as the Coronation Procession. Upon returning, their Majesties were received by a royal salute in the gardens at Buckingham Palace from the armed forces taking part in the procession. Thereafter, their Majesties, along with members of the royal family, including their Royal Highnesses the Prince and Princess of Wales, His Royal Highness Prince George of Wales, Her Royal Highness Princess Charlotte of Wales, His Royal Highness Prince Louis of Wales, their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Earl of Wessex, Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal and Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandra, the Honourable Lady Ogilvy, His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, and their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, along with the pages of honour of their Majesties, appeared on the balcony at Buckingham Palace to wave to the hundreds of thousands of well-wishers who came out to see their new King and Queen. Guests attending yesterday's historic coronation included members of the British royal family, and I'm pretty sure you know who they are, but if you don't, well, here's your list. Their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales, His Royal Highness Prince George of Wales, Her Royal Highness Princess Charlotte of Wales, His Royal Highness Prince Louis of Wales, their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Earl of Wessex, Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, the Duke of York, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice of York and her husband, Her Royal Highness Princess Eugenie of York and her husband, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandra, the Honourable Lady Ogilvy, His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, their Royal Highnesses the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, their Royal Highnesses Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, Mr. Mike Tyndall, Mrs. Zara Tyndall, Mr. Peter Phillips, Lady Sarah Chatto and her husband, Mr. Daniel Chatto, the Earl of Snowdon, Lady Margrethe Armstrong-Jones, Lady Helen Taylor, Lady Gabriella Windsor, Kingston, Lord Friedrich Windsor, the Earl of Ulster, Lady Davina Windsor, Lady Rose Gillam, the Duke of Sussex. Foreign monarchs and heirs also attended the coronation service, including His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan of Abu Dhabi, the King of the Ashantis, Ntomfu Osei Tutu II, and Lady Julia Osei Tutu, His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa of Bahrain, Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Mathilde of the Belgians, Their Majesties King Jimne Kesar Namgyal Wangchuck and Queen Jetsun of Bhutan, the Sultan of Brunei, His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Mateen of Brunei, Tsar Simeon and Tsarina Margrethe of Bulgaria, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, His Majesty King Moswati III of Eswatini, Her Majesty Queen Anne-Marie of Greece, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Pavlos and Crown Princess Marie Chantal of Greece, Their Imperial Highnesses Crown Prince Akishino and Crown Princess Kiko of Japan, Their Majesties King Abdul II and Queen Rania of Jordan, His Highness Crown Prince Sheikh Masal Al Ahmed Al Jabbar Al Sabah of Kuwait, King Letsi III and Queen Masenet of Lesotho, His Serene Highness Hereditary Prince Alos and Her Royal Highness Hereditary Princess Sophie of Liechtenstein, Their Royal Highnesses Grand Duke Henri and Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg, King Teoheta, the Maori King, and Queen Te Atawai, Their Majesties the King and Queen of Malaysia, Their Serene Highnesses Prince Albert II and Princess Charlene of Monaco, Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Mariam of Morocco, Their Majesties King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Saeed Thais bin Haitham Al Saeed of Oman, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, Her Highness Sheikha Jawahir bint Hamad bin Suham Al Thani of Qatar, Her Majesty Margrethe, the Custodian of the Crown of Romania, and His Royal Highness Prince Radu of Romania, His Royal Highness Prince Turki bin Mohammed bin Fahad bin Abdul Aziz of Saudi Arabia, Their Royal Highnesses Crown Prince Alexander and Crown Princess Catherine of Serbia, Their Majesties King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain, His Majesty King Carl Gustaf of Sweden, and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, Their Majesties King Rama X and Queen Sothita of Thailand, Their Majesties King Topu VI and Queen Nanasipau of Tonga. Well, the television ratings for the coronation are in. According to the broadcaster's Audience Research Board, figures supplied by Overnight's rating system, over 20 million people in the United Kingdom alone watched the historic coronation, beating out Her Majesty the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations last year, which hit a high of 13 million for the Platinum Party at the Palace on BBC One. However, it should be noted that some UK television networks did not broadcast the coronation, such as Channel 4. Instead, Channel 4 decided to air the 2018 film Johnny English Strikes Again. And they lost. They only had 140,000 viewers. Oh, too bad. Anyway, I should also note that the ratings do not include those who watch the coronation in public venues, such as pubs or in outdoor parks. Also, the ratings do not include those who stream the event on services such as YouTube and the BBC iPlayer, which is the BBC's streaming platform. But globally, 2.5 billion people watched Their Majesty's coronation. Yay! That's awesome. And there you have it, the year's most talked about royal news and events. Well, at least in my opinion. I will be back on Monday, January 1st, 2024, with all the latest royal news. Until then, I sincerely wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. May 2024 bring you and your family much happiness, peace, love, laughter, many blessings, and good fortune. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all on Monday.